A nation devastated by a pandemic, more than 225,000 dead.
Anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America.
Social injustice and unrest across the country also dominating the political debate.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
He did such harm to the black community, and he called them super predators.
Control of the Senate also at stake, along with key congressional races here on Long Island. The political climate triggering a tidal wave of voters flooding into polling places in what may be the most important election in a lifetime. Welcome to Newsday's special election coverage. I'm Jessie. The time now is 11 o'clock and we're bringing you results in key races as they come in. On top of that, Newsday's team of political experts. Long Islanders and people around the world are waiting to see how the race for president ends up. Here's a quick overview for the battle of the White House. It's a really tight race. It looks like Trump is just ahead in the popular vote here. And we're also looking at different races. It's actually a map of the U.S. from the results that we have coming in, taking a look at some of those states that are turning red as well as the states that are going blue. Now for some early local numbers. Here's a look at the race for the 3rd Congressional District, where incumbent Tom Suozzi is being challenged by Republican George DeVolder Santos, and it looks like Suozzi is still in the lead there. Newsday caught up with Nassau Democratic Party Chief Jay Jacobs. He says he's pleased with the turnout this election.
See a record-breaking turnout here in Nassau County. I think Suffolk County is seeing an enormous vote as well. And it's pretty even between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats came out earlier with the early voting and the paper ballots, and Republicans were out in force today. So, you know, they're catching up quite a bit, and we'll see how it all turns out. But at the end of the day, I feel very good about where we are.
Democrat Jackie Gordon challenging Andrew Garbarino in a 2nd congressional district. The early numbers show Garbarino taking the lead here. In the 1st congressional district, incumbent Republican Lee Zeldin trying to fend off a challenge from political newcomer Nancy Goroff, and it looks like Zeldin is taking the lead here so far. The Democratic Party has been spending big to support first-term state senators like Monica Martinez. Republican Alexis Wyke is trying to unseat the incumbent in the 3rd state Senate district. And right now, it looks like Wyke is taking the lead here and the numbers that are being reported so far. Another state Senate race that's being watched is between Democrat Laura Ahern and Republican Assemblyman Anthony Palumbo. They're vying for a seat in the 1st district, being vacated by Republican Kenneth Laval. And it looks like Palumbo is in the lead right now with those results coming in. And as we all know, these numbers are going to be changing throughout the night. It's still very early. And joining us to discuss the hot races, Newsday's team of political experts. Let's say hello to columnist Joy Brown, White House correspondent Laura Figueroa Hernandez, and Albany Bureau Chief Yancey Roy. Back with us again, guys. You rested up. We're still in it. There's going to be a long night. Laura, let's start with you. You're usually down there in Washington. Are you hearing anything from the Trump or Biden campaigns?
Definitely. Well, I just a little bit ago heard from former Suffolk GOP Chairman John J. Laval. He's a member of Trump's National Campaign Finance Committee. He's at the Trump Hotel in D.C. and he's describing just a festive environment. They're really excited with the numbers that they're seeing. Again, the numbers are still early, but they're much better than a lot of the folks in the campaign were anticipating. And now as the night progresses, again, votes numbers are still coming in, but it seems like the focus is shifting towards the Midwest. So you're hearing from the Trump campaign that they're feeling confident about the numbers coming out of Michigan and Wisconsin. And I spoke to Robert Zimmerman, who's a Long Islander. He's a Democratic National Committee man, you know, a very big donor to the Democratic parties. And he, you know, like most Biden campaign folks and like most Trump campaign folks have said, you know, this is going to come down again to Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. These are the 3 states that tipped the balance to Trump in 2016. They were tight races back then, and they're expected to be be tight races this year. Zimmerman was saying that he's confident that early numbers in Ohio are showing Biden ahead. Ohio is, of course, borders some of these states, and Ohio and Pennsylvania share certain media markets. So he's saying that, if Biden has a good night in Ohio, then that bodes well for him for the rest of the night in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Again, it's still early, but a lot of the focus, again, on the Midwest.
Thank you so much, Laura. From our nation's capital to the state's capital, Yancey, you're usually up in Albany. You took a train down to be with us on our socially distant set here. Anything from those state races sticking out to you so far?
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing as we move into the second hour past the closing of the polls, we're seeing Republicans do better as some of the results from tonight come in. And at the same time, we have to say, be patient, folks, because there are tons of absentee ballots out there that could change this in the coming days. I'm going to just jump on a couple of these, and I'm going to warn you, I'm going to throw out a few numbers here. But for example, in the state Senate District 1, we're seeing Anthony Palumbo, a Republican, running about 10,000 votes ahead of Laura Ahern, a Democrat. But we also know that there's 32,000 absentee ballots that haven't been tabulated yet, and we know that 8,000 more Democrats than Republicans sent in those ballots. So Palumbo in that race, for example, is going to have a good cushion tonight to probably hold on after absentees are counted. That same idea goes for the Martinez-White contest in Senate District 3, where White is about 4,000 votes ahead right now, and also in the Jim Gorin, Ed Smith contest that spans both Nassau and Suffolk counties. Right now, we see, as our latest figures, Smith ahead by about 3,000 votes, but in the absentees, we know that Democrats have about a 10,000 vote advantage in terms of who has returned those votes. They haven't been counted. Somebody could have crossed party lines. But, there's a lot more Democrats who return ballots in that race and in others, including the congressional races out there, including Garbarino and Gordon. So I think as we move along and as we get into the wee hours and tomorrow, what you're going to have is, in some of these races, Republicans ahead on the election night count, so that they can survive the count of the absentee ballots.
And speaking of absentee ballots, Joy, I want to pose this question to you. We saw a record number of absentee ballots come in. We know it's going to take some time for them to be counted, right? How do you think that's going to shape, I guess, people's perception of when are we going to get a winner?
A couple of things to keep in mind. It's unusual because we're in a pandemic. Everything is not the way it was before. And the election results coming in are not going to be the way we've ever seen them before either. As Yancey spoke, there is a huge percentage of absentee ballots that will be counted in both counties. So many that both counties actually got special machines to count absentee ballots. In some of these local races, if they begin to get close, you're going to wait and you're going to see attorneys for Democrats, for candidates on either side coming in to make sure and to monitor that absentee ballot count. You're going to see that. As a matter of fact, it's so different this year that I know that Republicans at least are warning against what they call the red mirage. That is, on election day, it may look like a Republican's going to be winning, but national surveys show that Democrats tend to feel more comfortable with those absentee ballots. So you don't want a red mirage, and at the same time, you don't want a blue mirage. Those absentee ballots are going to be absolutely crucial.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much again for staying with us. We'll be checking with them throughout the evening as these results keep coming in. And we are going to keep you updated with those results, but you can also check in for yourself at our website, newsday.com. For Newsday, I'm Faith Jessie.